Jason. Cool. These companies not named?
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, let me.
And
Which one did
did the bottom one?
bottom one?
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Jason Carrier, and I'm here to introduce my idea. It's not quite a company yet. It doesn't have a name. We're hoping we can get your help with that. I'd also like to introduce my team to Capital Factory. I'm sure this isn't going to be the only pitch that we do here. I've got Chad over here. He's my design guy. He's going to be passing some stuff out here in a moment. And I've got Patrick in the back, my sales guy. A little bit about myself. I've traveled all over the world. I'm a military veteran and IT guy. I've been doing it for about 15 years. I was also a government contractor for a while. And the most important part here is I'm a grad student over at UT in technology commercialization. It's basically a grad degree in tech startups. So we're going to be leveraging that a lot for this idea and kind of developing it as we go through the program. Before I go to the next slide, how many people are actually concerned about climate change? Anybody? Okay, so I am too. Anybody been following what's going on with the G20 summit that just happened or the Paris Climate Accord? Kind of big
Real
stuff.
news or fake news?
Yeah. So, and then last thing, anybody familiar with what's going on in the marijuana industry? We're going to relate those two things together. So right now the agriculture industry consumes 70% of the fresh water that we're pulling out of the environment. Only 5% of that water actually goes into the produce that we actually consume. The rest of that water carries all the pesticides and fertilizers that have been put on those crops down into the environment. It goes out into wherever the water is running to and ends up causing other problems. In addition to that, getting all the produce from the farm to the actual table where it's being consumed creates 7 billion tons of greenhouse gases every year. So our solution is to come up with a system that will actually change the source of the food from the farm and put it in people's homes. So going from farm to table is now walking across your living room. So I did a bunch of research on solving this problem and creating a system to do this in an automated way and found out that quite a few other people have actually already tried to tackle the problem, but nobody's really gotten market penetration yet, obviously because there's not a lot of people growing in their homes yet. So that's what we're trying to do. Some of the devices that have already been created but haven't really hit market. This one is City Crop. It's very close to the aesthetic that I was going for. You'll notice that the purple light that's coming from the top is kind of optimized for plant growth. And it's a very aesthetically pleasing design. You can see the plants. It's something that women wouldn't mind having in their living room, which is, I think, something that we definitely need to overcome. This is one that's more targeted towards the marijuana market. You can notice it looks like a little refrigerator. It's a completely sealed environment, so you don't have to worry about the smell so much. These are just competitors that I want to take ideas from. This one is an open source robot, basically, that will help you with pulling weeds and harvesting your plants, or say you've got insects that will go in and target pesticides in that specific area, and it's open source. That's something that down the road we're hoping to integrate in the solutions that we create. This is the path to market that we're planning to take. We're going to start with developing a cloud platform that all of our devices will be connecting into, and we're going to be doing a garden controller, which is not a complete turnkey solution. It's something that will automate grow rooms that already exist. So it'll have spaces for all the different lights and pumps and sensors to plug into. It'll aggregate that data, talk up to the cloud, and then make intelligent decisions about what environmental variables to change in that grow space, given the genetics that are trying to grow inside of it. This is the traction that we've made so far. I have a relationship started with a local startup called Wigwag. They're kind of an automation specialist. We're taking one of their products that they're phasing out and retooling it a little bit and rebranding it to become that garden controller that I was talking about. We've got the cloud platform started. I have an AWS developer that's on my team. And we're using the MSCC program for guidance and consulting, helping us kind of flesh out this idea before we actually go to market or really build it. So right now, the big thing that I'm looking for is helping to name our baby. So Chad and Patrick are going to be handing out some cards that there's a link on the bottom to a survey that talks about some different names that we've come up with. So we'd really love to get your feedback on those names and kind of rank order them for us and tell us which ones you like, which ones you don't like, what you like about them, what you don't like about them. And we're also looking for seed funding. We don't have a lot of specifics on financials yet, but that information will be coming shortly. And we want to build as many collaborative relationships with local Austin-based businesses as we can. So if anybody has ideas, products, and services that they want to kind of work together with us on, or maybe integrate our cloud technology into your products, we'd be more than interested to listen. And we're also looking for early adopters, so people who would be interested in having this in their home.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Questions?
I think you're creating a hardware-software combination.
Correct.
Everything.
Correct. We're going to focus more on the software side.
Okay.
And eventually, we want to work with other companies, such as the ones that I put up there, and we want to focus on the software and automation side.
Yeah.
But we are going to do
for-
hardware to do proof of concept on what we're doing and that our cloud platform
Yeah,
works.
that hardware would be a pretty significant undertaking, considering what's already on the market. It seems like it would make sense to create that software that would manage, automate the AI, everything like that for specific crops or intelligence.
That's exactly what we're
That's a
doing.
really good starting point.
So you're giving out these polls, and one time when I was looking for feedback for a tech stupid idea I was working on for graduate students, I went to UT and had like 2 gallons of coffee, and then a sign said free Amazon gift card, only one, and got like 220 responses in 24 hours. So a way for you to get quick feedback is to go somewhere like that to do that.
Makes sense. I figured this would be a good place to get initial feedback for names because, all entrepreneurs here. So, that's why I'm asking you specifically.
Yeah.
What does this cloud software actually manage then?
So it's going to manage when the lights come on, when the lights go off, what the temperature in the room needs to be, what the humidity in the room needs to be, what the CO2 level in the room needs to be, and all based off of where that plant is at in its growth cycle. So
How does that monitor know where the plant is?
So there's going to be cameras, and the cameras are going to look at the leaves, and it knows the genetics that's supposed to be in there. And we're going to be developing software that will look at the leaves and be able to tell based off of what it's supposed to be where it's at in its cycle. And it can actually tell off the coloration of the leaves whether that plant is healthy or not.
For marijuana or all sorts?
All plants. Well, not all. That would be unrealistic. But we're going to choose a subset of plants that will grow well in this system, and then basically have a little app so you can just select what you're trying to plant, and it will.
I'm not a big pot smoker,
Yeah.
but I believe the reason a growing system that's vertical like that works is because the value of pot per cubic, whatever it is, amount of space.
Yeah, that's a really
High.
good question. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's been a lot of changes that have happened in the LED market.
No pun intended, yes.
Yeah, the cost to do this stuff, if you're looking at data from like 10 years ago, it's cost prohibitive to grow anything but pot, essentially, in a system like this. But there's been a lot of advances in LED lighting in the last 10 years. There's been a lot of advances in cloud automation, and the cost for a lot of these things has gone down substantially. And then the cost for organic food has actually risen. So when you take all that into account, it's actually, we're probably going to be able to maybe not beat, but most likely meet the cost that you would pay at like a Whole Foods or something like
For
that.
celery?
Correct. Yeah.
Last question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So help me connect the dots. At the beginning of the presentation, you said 70% of the water is somehow contaminated and slipped through somewhere.
Yeah.
Connect the dots for me. How is your
Yeah. So do you get how the traditional farming works? You basically have a large plot of land, and you're pouring tons of water on it, and that water is just going to seep down into the ground. So all the chemical fertilizers and pesticides that you're putting on that plant is going to go down with the water. And most of the water is not actually consumed by the plant. It goes down into the ground. It's 5% actually goes into the plant. So with our system, it's a hydroponic system, and all the water is contained. And because it's a contained system, there's no evaporation. Because it's a contained system, there's no drainage that's going down into the soil. So by doing it this way, you can control what's happening with that water. And so the only time the water comes out of the system is when you harvest, essentially.
So you are creating the hardware that will contain the water.
We're going to do both initially, but long term it's going to be more on the software side, and we'll be having collaborative partnerships with other companies who are creating the hardware. We're basically going to develop reference hardware first.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jason.
So those were 5 pitches. Thank you for coming. We've got about